Bill Simmons has a podcast, Malcolm Gladwell and Judd Apatow. Yeah, pretty big names on that. TheRinger.com is his too. Bill Simmons. Bill, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I was driving into work today, and you've already said 19 things that I disagreed with. So we're off to a good start already.
First of all, I don't have any facts this morning. It's speculation, which is part of what I do. Let's go to this. Jimmy Butler, Paul George. Okay, Jimmy Butler,
Yeah.
Paul George. Who do you think LeBron would rather play for?
Play with?
Play with. Excuse me, I'm wrong. Play
Well,
with.
hold on. Can we go backwards? You already have LeBron heading to the Clippers, and you've completely discounted the Lakers. I think the Lakers have, I would say, 5 times a better chance of landing LeBron than the Clippers.
That dysfunctional.
Maybe 10 times.
That dysfunctional ownership.
What's dysfunctional about it? They got Rob Pelinka and they got Magic Johnson. It's the Lakers. You're acting like the Clippers matter. The Clippers missed their window in 2014 and 2015. Chris Paul is now, what's he going to be, 32, 33 this year? Year 13. Could not make it through round 1 of a playoff series without wearing down. Lasted 6 games. They were already talking about, wow, Chris is wearing down. Yeah, Blake, who's had, I don't know, how many surgeries and injuries has he had? Like 8 or 9. You have Jamal Crawford and Austin Rivers making $27 million a year. You have DeAndre, who it's unclear if he can even be a center in the finals that I just watched, whether he could even stay on the court. And you have a lot of dysfunction. Like, why would LeBron go to the Clippers? Why wouldn't he go to the Lakers?
Because they have a star.
A bunch of young players.
Yeah, but none of them are any good. They're all C+.
What do you mean they have a star? Who? Chris Paul? Chris Paul needs the ball all the time. Did you watch the finals? LeBron James always has the ball. Kyrie Irving stands over to the side. Chris Paul can't do that. He doesn't play like that. It's going to be the Lakers. It's going to happen.
You think it's going to happen?
I think it's going to happen. I've been saying on my pod for the last couple weeks. I think it's going to happen. I think that explains a lot of what we saw this week with the David Griffin thing and Dan Gilbert, which I thought was crazy. But, you have David Griffin, who's the GM of the Cavs, who's making phone calls about trades and gets relieved of his duties the same day he's calling teams and making trades. Do you remember that happening before?
Nope.
That's nuts. So obviously he was trying to either convince Gilbert to blow it up because LeBron's leaving a year and make some giant home run swing to try to keep him, or just felt like, that this was headed nowhere. Maybe we should trade everybody and just rebuild. Like, who knows what happened? I can't wait to find out. But
what is your gut on? See, I think Dan Gilbert, and I said this yesterday, Boston is doing it the long term. Don't blow up your 401k. They should do that. That's their history. Smart, stable, educated. Kids went to Wharton. But Cleveland's been a hot mess, okay? They're a Powerball family. Okay, I get them dumping.
They won the title, though.
Well, yeah, that's great, but they're not really a franchise. They're just LeBron. He leaves. What are they? That's all they are. They're not Boston historically. They're not San Antonio. They're LeBron. Do you think Dan Gilbert thinks this morning? Now, what is Dan? Does he think LeBron stays or goes? Does he think, okay, I'll land Jimmy Butler, LeBron stays? What do you think he's thinking?
I think he's thinking, I have one more year with LeBron. I'm going to try to win a title, and I don't want to ruin my long-term future, because what LeBron did since the moment he got there was basically close the window so that it was 4 years, 5 years, and that's it. Every move they made, every cap-clogging signing they made it impossible to fix or really change this roster unless they trade Kyrie or Kevin Love. So, if you're Gilbert, you made this deal with LeBron. You brought him back. If LeBron was going to stay for 12 years, then don't you just keep Andrew Wiggins? And you don't make the Wiggins for Love trade. You don't try to win now. You try to actually build something like Wiggins, who I think is a really good player. I don't think he's a top 25 player, but he's a good player. But he was on a rookie contract, so you have him for $7 million versus Kevin Love for $20 million, who you then have to re-sign. Now you have to go get J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert, who they're paying like $27 million a year to play the Wiggins position, who he could have played for $7 million. You would add more cap space. But that's my point, is that it's becoming more and more clear that this was a short-term arrangement to try to win Cleveland a title. And I think LeBron made it clear from the get-go, I might not stay the whole time. Let's try to win a title, and then who knows?
Well,
And now we're in the who knows standpoint of this whole
If I was Dan Gilbert, though, I would sign Butler, who's got more in his contract left than Paul George, right? That would make much more sense as an owner. So if LeBron leaves, at least I have Jimmy Butler and Kyrie Irving. So Butler would be the guy going to Cleveland, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they can make the best trade for Butler. I think if you're Chicago, why do you want Kevin Love for Jimmy Butler? Kevin Love's 28 years old. What is he going to do for you? He's going to make you a 500 team. Like I would want picks and young players. And unless they can get a 3-teamer and get a third team involved, I just think other teams can trump any Jimmy Butler offer. The Paul George thing is, that one makes sense on paper. We wrote about it on The Ringer, I think a week and a half ago. Jonathan Jarks wrote something about it. But, because Love's under contract for a while. If you're Indiana, you get somebody who's still a top 25 player in the league, who's now actually underrated because he was marginalized in Cleveland. And now you can make him the centerpiece with Miles Turner and try to stay relevant. And if you're Cleveland, you're all in on Paul George for 1 year. If he leaves and LeBron leaves, now you don't have to worry about paying Kevin Love $25 million a year to be in the middle of the road if they want to rebuild. It makes sense. And I actually think you put Paul George on the Cavs, they just have a better chance of beating Golden State. I think what they learned this year is you can't beat this Golden State team playing Thompson and Love at the same time. So Cleveland had this fundamental dilemma of we have our best 4 players, but we can only play 3 of the best 4 players against Golden State. Like you're handcuffed at that point.
Yep. That became pretty clear in the finals. There were matchup problems they couldn't overcome. So let's.
But wait a second, though. Why are you sleeping on the Lakers with this whole thing?
Come on.
I hate the Lakers. I'm a Celtics fan, but you have Magic Johnson, LeBron's idol. You have this is the biggest franchise, and you were saying I heard you say in the car about how the Clippers are moving in on the Lakers' territory. I feel the opposite. I feel like the Clippers missed their window, and they have this aging team that they're kind of stuck with their cap. And you look at there's 2 football teams here now. There's 2 baseball teams. You have the Lakers. You have 2 soccer teams. You have a hockey team. It's very easy to become completely irrelevant if you're the Clippers. And the difference between now and then is like in the old days, people had Clippers season tickets because they kept them to go see the other teams, right? That's why I have Clippers season tickets because it's a much easier way to go see LeBron and Durant and whoever's coming in. Now with the secondary market, you can just cherry pick tickets whenever you want. I mean, to me, it's like there's so much urgency with this Clippers situation where the moment they become irrelevant, they're going to lose their season ticket base. So you could say 79-year-old Jerry West moves the needle, but really does it? What's he going to do? What do you do with this roster?
LeBron's never shown an interest in playing with kids. He did that in Cleveland. He wants to play with high IQ veteran players who are established, and he doesn't have to teach. He doesn't want to be a mentor.
All right, but hold on, though. Flip that around. You're acting like he'd have to play with the young players. If they were able to get LeBron and you get one more free agent, you could flip those young players for veteran players, right?
Yeah, but
you could at that point you could trade Brandon Ingram for Jimmy Butler, and you could very easily stockpile a team using the assets they have. They've been picking in the top 7 now for 4 straight years.
Boy, that's best case scenario. I think the Lakers are dysfunctional. I don't trust Magic to pull it off. I don't think LeBron's
But it's not Magic, though. It's Pelinka. Pelinka is the guy running the team. Magic is the face. Magic is the guy who has the meetings. Magic is the guy that he's the public face. He's the friendly, familiar face for the Lakers fans. But Pelinka is the guy running this team. And I think he's a smart guy. Look, the Lakers are, as you said, the most dysfunctional ownership, other than James Dolan and maybe that's probably it. But I think there's a little more function now.
Well, I
think we have to give it a chance.
You and I, okay, I'll just say this. You and I completely disagree on LeBron and the Lakers. That's my takeaway on this 10 minutes. I think there's almost no chance. You think it's the leader in the clubhouse. And
why would he go to the Lakers? How does that get him closer to a title to play with
No, why would
Chris
LeBron?
Paul in his mid-30s and Blake Griffin, who's been in the hospital 8 times.
Because I think LeBron wants to own things. I think it's a more progressive ownership group. It's a richer owner. It's Chris Paul. It's a new arena.
Wait a second. LeBron wants to own things. I heard this on an ESPN show today, too. It's illegal for him to own things. You can't own anything if you're a player. You can't do wink-wink deals. It's illegal. This is how, if it ever came out that they had a wink-wink deal with LeBron for either of these teams, they would lose like 10 first-round picks. You can't do it. You can say like, hey, we'll talk about it after, but you just can't do it. It's impossible.
Well, then that's what you say. But you're not going to ever have a chance to own any of the Lakers. They'll never give up 1% of that. That you know for sure. Oh, God, no. The Buss family, by the way, is not that wealthy. You know who's wealthy? You know, wealthy is Ballmer. Wealthy's Paul Allen. By the way, Dan Gilbert's wealthy now.
But you talk about dysfunction, and I like Ballmer. He was on my podcast. I think he's a smart dude who has finally figured out I have to take control of this. But for 3 years he didn't, and he let Doc Rivers try to be the coach and the GM, and it was a disaster. They missed their window. Like we're going to look back at this decade, and the two things that are going to stand out are how the hell did Oklahoma City trade James Harden, and how the hell did the Clippers never get past round 2 when they had two of the best 8 players in the league? Those are going to be the two legacies of this decade for when we scratch our heads and go, what the hell just happened? So, you know, I think they waited too long, and now I honestly think they missed their window because, you know, great point guards do not age well. You look at like somebody like Chris, who's 6 feet tall, who's been in the league for 12 years. What's the track record of a 34-year-old 6 foot tall point guard like really kicking ass in the NBA? It doesn't happen.
All right, quickly, I got a minute left. Bill Simmons, Celtics. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
What are the after the draft day? By the start of next year, what's the Celtics starting 5?
I think Hayward, I would say 80% chance.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's involved. I would bet on Jason Tatum as the guy they pick.
Yeah.
I still feel like they made that trade because they feel like there's a chance for another trade. They basically turned $1 into $1.20, and now it's like, is Porzingis? Could it be Jimmy Butler? Who is it? But my guess would be either that number 3 pick or next year's Brooklyn pick is going to be turned into another player.
If Gordon Hayward and Jason Tatum arrive, they're absolutely a better offensive team. That's not even debatable. And by the way, it closes Washington's window. It closes Toronto's window. It makes it very difficult for Milwaukee. If you can add 2 shooters to Isaiah Thomas and Avery Bradley, and Horford's a decent scorer, that is absolutely closer to Cleveland. No question.
I'll tell you this, though. I heard you talk about Lonzo on the way in. And for the first time today, I started to feel some pangs about the fact that the Celtics passed on Lonzo. And I know why they did it. You can't play Lonzo and Isaiah in the backcourt together. You're going to get torched defensively. But you were saying Lonzo's a star because of his dad and because of the attention his dad brought him. I think Lonzo's a star. To me, it's like watching Curry in college and Durant when he was at Texas. There's just certain guys that you're just transfixed by on TV in college. It rarely happens. I think the guy has a chance to be special. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's possible. And you put him at the Lakers with Magic and the fans and the right guys around him. He really could be special.
Oh, I would be disappointed if they didn't make the move. Bill Simmons, TheRinger.com, podcast guest, Malcolm Gladwell, Judd Apatow. Wish you'd stop by more often. I know you're a busy guy. You're running stuff. You're a managerial type, but I'd like to see you more often, Billy.
This summer, I'm coming in for like a 3-hour. Let's just go at it. Hang.
Yeah, that'd be great. But I'm tired of these promises. Why don't you just stop by the couch?
Did you raise the couch so it's almost close to eye level to you, where you're not lording over people?
For one day, I'll raise the couch a foot.
Oh, okay, I'm in. I'm coming in.
All right, Bill.
All right, thanks, Colin.
All right, Bill Simmons.